Yay! Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Um, so I am Hannah from Hearts Need Art, and we're here again for our Artistic Tuesday. That's what I'm calling it these days. And we have a very special surprise for you guys. If you tuned in last Friday, you would have seen that we had Stanzi, our founder and creator of Hearts Need Art, join us last Friday. Today, we have a very special guest today as well. Well, why don't you join us? Can you join us? Yeah. We have Carol.
Hi.
Yay, Carol. Hi, Carol.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here on Hearts Need Art's Facebook page, joining me today for a lovely acrylic painting that I really hope you enjoy, Carol. I really hope you have fun painting with me.
I can't wait.
Yeah, Carol is an artist as well, so this will be really, really fun and really exciting to have you join me in this. Well, let's see. I guess before we actually really get started, I'll just tell everyone about our mission and Hearts Need Art and who we are, and then we'll get started. And I'll let you know what our supplies will be today. We are a nonprofit based in San Antonio, Texas. You already knew that, Carol. We create moments of joy, self-expression, and connection for those facing life-altering health challenges through the arts engagements. Our vision is the universal accessibility of arts engagement to help everyone feel seen, heard, and loved while facing these life-altering health challenges. And Carol has worked with me in the hospital before, so I'm so happy to see you again after so long. So I guess we can get started with our project today. We are working on acrylic paper for anybody watching, and if you'd like to join us, follow along with us, please do. I really love that. I really love seeing your artwork at the very end of it or later on if you're able to do it. So we're using acrylic paper, acrylic paper, some brushes, which I'll go into in a moment. I actually happen to have little palettes here, but you can use paper plates, whatever you like, whatever you have, and some water as well. So Carol, before we begin, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with Hearts Need Art?
Yeah, absolutely. My husband was in the hospital 2 years ago. He was diagnosed with a incurable disease called amyloidosis. And while when we found out that he had that, we also found out that he had kidney cancer. And so he had to have a bone marrow transplant. And while we were in the hospital with that, Hearts Need Art came around doing their music. And I'm a muso myself. And it just really blessed us so much and just really helped us get through that time tremendously. So once I was able to, then I started doing a little bit of volunteering myself. And so it's a fantastic organization.
That's so good to hear. Well, well, I'm glad that you were able to join us at that time and connect with other patients as well, because you and I have worked at the outpatient facility together. Had you worked on any of the other areas, like the inpatient? Just curious.
I worked on the oncology floor for a little, and then also at the BMT clinic.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's really cool. That's really good to hear. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that too. I'm sure that's very personal of you, and I'm really glad that your husband beat it, worked through it. So that's awesome. Let's see, Carol, can you turn your volume down just a little bit? Is that all right?
Sure.
Sorry about that. I think there's a little bit of reverb. It might help.
Is that better?
We'll see. We'll see what Richard texts me. So, but while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and finally get started. This is very colorful. Awesome. Yeah, it is better. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So Fiesta was supposed to happen, right? I think as of yesterday. And so I've had Fiesta on my mind. So of course I wanted to do something very, very colorful today. So there's very, very bright colors in the background, and I happen to choose 2 of them plus white paint. So orange up here, pink, a little bit of white paint sprayed throughout here, mostly here and up here. So for anybody watching, I'm going to show you guys how to mix your paints on the canvas. Normally people say not to do that, but I happen to love doing that, and it's one of my favorite things. I happen to call it the squishy paint technique. So we're going to be doing a lot of that today. So as for colors, we do want to make sure that we have a lot of paint at our disposal. Because we can get messy with it. We can use a lot of globby paints, especially with these petals over here. Globby paints, dirty brushes. I'm going to be cleaning my brushes in between colors, but not too much while we're working. I'm going to go ahead and grab my background colors. So got my orange, got my pink paint. For anybody at home, you guys are more than welcome to use any 2 colors you would like. My recommendation, though, is to have those 2 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So if you have orange and pink, like those 2 are next to each other just because they blend very well together. Purple and blue, purple and pink. What else? Like stuff like yellow and green, maybe blue and green. So you can very easily Google a color wheel online. So I chose to do these 2 colors together. So without further ado, I am going to put this down for a moment. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to pour my paints out into my little palette here. Now, let's see. I think I accidentally grabbed the lighter of the 2 pinks that I have, but that's okay. Similar enough. So I'll be starting off with the background first, and then I'm going to be moving on into some of these areas here. These little, what do they call? What can I think of the name? I can't think of the name. Little streamers. The little streamers down there. And then we'll move on into the best part of the painting, which is the flowers. So for the background, I always like to tell people big brush for big areas. So if you're tuning in with us, if you have a bigger brush like this, the official size it says is 3/4 inches. But if you have 1 inch, even if you have something a little bit smaller than this, that's okay. If it looks like a big brush to you, then it will work. So let me put this down. Now, what I did for my brush strokes is I like to go like that, kind of like X shapes. And you'll see once I actually start doing this. And I'm going to go quickly whenever I do this in a diagonal direction for both of my colors. And I'll show you what I mean in a moment. I'll probably start maybe in this corner, switch it up a little bit to a new color, and I probably will not rinse my brush, just letting you know that, okay? You ready, Carol?
I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. So pick a color, any of your 2 colors that you're starting with. I'm going to go for orange because why not? And I need to stand up because I need to be able to look at my painting. Okay, starting in a corner. And I'm going to make my X brush strokes. X, X, X. Like that. See how I'm moving my brush back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, when you're first starting off with one color, your brush strokes are going to be blending in. So they're not really going to look too separate. But this next section, we'll go ahead and add some white paint, and we'll see how that happens. I'm actually going to bring my orange down a little bit further, maybe about that way. Big, bold brush strokes. Don't be afraid to go for it. And like I said, using a lot of paint is a good idea in this case. There you go, Carol. And I can see those brush strokes really well. Cool. Now, just for a little bit of variety and to show you how to blend these brushes, and anyone watching, I'm gonna dip my dirty brush into my white paint. So I got both on there. And while it's still wet, let's go ahead and blend that on top. Back and forth brush strokes. Kind of those X shapes. Notice how I'm going both on top of my orange and on top of the blank space out here. Both of those. There we go. Awesome. And say, for example, maybe I have some spots here for anyone watching. Maybe if you guys have a spot here that you'd like to blend a little bit more, if you were to go back to the opposite color, so for me it would be orange since that's very, very light. I'm going to go back to orange. Tap, 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 a little bit of that paint on there. And right here, maybe right here, on the darker area, I'm going to go over those brush strokes, spread it out a lot. Spread it a lot, much further than I thought. Going all over the place, same brush strokes. That's how you blend it in. I'm going to put this a little closer for anyone following along. Cool. Now I'm thinking we can move on into our pink paint, perhaps. Yeah, now in the original, we have a lot of pink. For those of you following along, if you'd like to add more orange to your painting, maybe bring it down some more. That way most of your painting is orange. You can certainly do that. So all you would have to do is extend over here with your light orange or with your dark orange, whichever you like. For me, I'm going to take my dirty brush, tap, tap, tap some pink paint. I'm going to start out here. That's because I want to overlap. And because I have that orange still in my brush, whenever I press down, it's going to blend together. Tap, 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 because I need a little bit more pink. Starting out here on the white paint. And I still have orange in my brush. Still blending. I'm doing wide brush strokes. Now it's blending together with the pink paint and the orange paint that's already in there. However, it's not quite blending here, right? It's not quite blending there. So there, am I going too fast, Carol? Is that okay? Cool. Okay, good. I had to ask. I was checking. I was gonna check in. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that pink paint off here. But now I'm gonna go back into my white paint. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of white paint. I'm just gonna tap just a little. I don't have too much on there. Yeah. And then right here, right where the orangey pink meets our light orange, I'm going to start to blend those two, spreading my brush strokes, really going over top both areas. Spreading here into the orange, spreading here into the orangey pink. Like that. Now, Carol, do you have any questions?
I don't think so.
Cool. You're doing really good. Like I can
More
see it
white
from
in
here.
yours, but that's okay.
That's fine.
I'll be the same.
No. I say it all the time, like on camera and to anybody I'm teaching. Everybody has their own handwriting, right? So of course
Yes.
you're gonna have your own brush strokes. So
Yes.
makes perfect sense, right?
Yes,
So,
it does.
yeah. So let's keep going. Still have a dirty brush, right? And you can even still see some of that orange in there. But I'm on the pink section now, so I'm going to keep going down. Dip, 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 tap, tap, tap into pink. Pressing down whenever I want some of that orange. Same big brush strokes. Now, if I want to, I can add, I'm going to make this part optional, but if you want to, you can add a light pink area since you know already more or less how to blend some of these brush strokes. Tap, 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 some white paint. And I can add like a much lighter area here. I always like to say all the time, whenever I am trying to blend something maybe or draw something maybe, it's a lot easier to just do a little bit of something, a little bit of paint at a time, except in certain cases, and I'll show you when in this painting. But a lot of times it's easier to do just a little bit of paint because you can add more, but you can't really take more away. I mean, there's ways to fix it, of course, but it's, it's better to start off a little more conservatively sometimes. So, add a little more pink. I do kind of want this area to be a little darker. So for anyone watching, if you would like to donate, we always have that donate button there. So please consider it if you can or if you're able to. It really does help to help for us to keep doing what we're doing, whether it be here on live stream TV or whether it be at the hospital whenever we're actually allowed to go back into the hospital. It just helps us to keep providing for patients. And we do provide all of those supplies to patients free of charge to them, patients and caregivers as well. So anyone who is there visiting somebody can join us too, because caregivers are going through a rough time as well. So if you would like to contribute, that would be amazing. Like I said, everything is free for those patients and for those caregivers that are there. And we do like to give them some good quality supplies too. Like they get the good paints, they get the good watercolors, the good brushes. So you know that, Carol, already. Like some good stuff.
Yes, very good.
So I'm gonna maybe add a little bit more pink there. And then just kind of wait for it to dry a little. I added a little bit more orange, or a lot more orange, because I really wanted that orange. And if y'all happen to be following along, would love to see your creations later. I always really love seeing them. So for reference, I have the picture here. That's what we're working towards. If there are any areas back here that you don't really care for, maybe they're not blended as well, that's all right, because if you couldn't tell, we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on with the rest of them, so that is okay. Yay, Carol! I love your blending. I can see it from here.
Do you think it has enough white on it?
Yep, I can see that you put it on the bottom there, and I can see that streak a little bit further up. Yeah, I like that. And I really love that streak that you have up close, or up at the top.
Yeah, I did it on purpose. No.
You did, obviously. Obviously. And I never would have known.
Yeah.
Okay, now I am going to rinse my brush, and we will be switching gears. Gonna give it a good rinse. Although I think that's all I use the big brush for, looking at the original now. So if you wanted to, if you're watching at home, you could actually just leave it in the water if you wanted to, and then maybe more thoroughly clean it later. It's up to you. But I will be switching gears. Before we switch gears, though, let's actually wait for some of this to dry. Maybe 2-3 minutes or so would be a good idea. And I say that because we're going to be adding white paint as our very first curlies that stretch down, just the white paint. And if it's not dry down here, it's going to blend in with it. That may be okay if that's what you're going for, but it's not what I'm going for. So we'll just wait like 2 minutes. We'll just wait for like 2 minutes. So it's all good. For anyone watching, we do have a little program called Adopt an Artist. And if you'd like to adopt any of our artists, any of our musicians, any of our writers, or myself as well, if you want to, you can click on a link, and that link is on our website, and it's going to have Adopt an Artist on it. There you go. It's right there. It's going to have Adopt an Artist on it, and you would be providing us a monthly donation for that one. And as an incentive, all of us artists have to write artist reports every single week. So you'd get a little snippet of what we think about our projects, what some of our patient interactions are like. So if we were in the hospital, I would be writing about very generally. I wouldn't give out any information like that, any personal information, but just about how some interactions went, what my thoughts were, perhaps what we did throughout some of the interactions throughout the month. Stuff like that, maybe even pictures. I don't know what goes in those things. But I always send pictures all the time. So yeah, if you're able to give a monthly donation, that would be amazing. And you'd really, really, really be helping us out. So, all right. I think that was like 30 seconds. So Carol, you are an artist yourself. What kind of, do you want to talk about what you do, about yourself? I know that you're back here in Texas, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I love to paint. We lived in Georgia for a while, and I started going to it was about 45 minutes away. They had an artist studio where you could go and pay a certain amount of money and do acrylics one week, and the paint. What's that other paint we were doing with the ornaments?
Was it flow painting?
No. Anyway, we would just do things. That's okay. We would do different things each week, and it just got me really excited. I used to draw. It's just a gift. I like to do all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Fabric. I paint on my clothes, and Yeah.
That's amazing.
I've
love
got a
that.
jacket right now I'm getting ready to wash that I just did yesterday.
I love that. I have not done too much too much clothing art, like sewing or painting on fabrics. I have not done
Yeah,
that. So
it's fun.
that's awesome. Yeah. I have a sewing machine that I've not touched. And now that we're supposed to wear masks, I've really been thinking about bringing it out and trying to make some,
Yes,
because that's necessary. It's a necessity now.
it is. Yeah. I have a really cool jacket that I've had for probably 20 years that I did. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That you made?
Yeah. Well, I bought the jacket, like at Goodwill. It's
Okay.
it's a blazer. It's a long blazer, and then I just decorated it with, a big peace sign and
Oh,
some
nice.
fun fabric and stuff. Yeah. I get lots
Nice.
when I wear it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have a lot of like scrap pieces of fabric that I've wanted to do things like that with, like just cover
Yeah.
up a jacket, like the back of a jacket, or put some fake pockets in.
Yeah. Well, right now is a perfect time to do that kind of thing, right? While we're stranded at.
It is, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Learn a new skill, or at least start learning a new skill.
that's right. Yeah. May
All
come in
right.
handy to a degree.
It would. It really would.
Yeah.
I think for me, this is dry enough to get started on. What about you?
Mine feels like it's good.
It's good. Cool.
Uh-huh.
Yay. Well, I'm ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Cool. Now, I'm going to draw basically just the skeleton, or kind of like where the flowers will be sitting on top of. So it's really just going to be a curved line that goes across, and it is going to be covered eventually by these flowers. Flowers and all the streamers. So I'm going to draw, it's going to look like a sad face, okay? But it will be fixed and covered. It's okay. I'm going to draw this face, this dome, that's a better word for it. And then I'm going to draw the streamers going down with white paint. And the brush that I'm going to be using is going to be a pointy brush. But if any of you guys at home are following along, if you wanted to use a flat brush, I can show you how to use the flat brush along with it too. My preference though would be the pointy brush. So let me show you how to do that. Can you get my white paint? Now, for this entire painting, I'm mostly, if I don't do it, I'll tell you, but mostly just going to dip right into the paint itself without really like trying to swipe it or make my brush smoother. So I'm going to step back for a second. I want to be able to see this. Oops. Okay, I'm going to draw that dome shape. It's going to be closer to the bottom. If you want to trace it out with your finger, you certainly can. I'm going to have plenty of space for the streamers down there. Lots of space up here for those flowers. There. That's my dome. Doesn't need to be perfect, but right here, this is where my streamers are going to be coming down and curling down from. And then on top of it, I'm going to have all of those flowers, and eventually it's going to be covered up. So now that that's that, I'm going to take more paint, and let's do those streamers. I'd like to show you what they look like again. Streamers like that. Now, in order for our streamers to be longer and stretched down, we want to have a lot of paint on our brush. So that's why I just dip and go. So we can start on the side here, wherever you want, really. Press down lightly and swirl it You can do 1 swirl or 2 swirls. So maybe that one is 1 swirl. I'm pressing down lightly. I can go like that. I can make it bigger in the middle if I want to, and make it taper down if I want to. Whatever the case, whatever you'd like to do, let's make a lot of them. I'm not really going to count. I'm just going to go for it. Keep in mind, we will also have different colors on top of it. It's a little hard to tell, but I think because I'm sitting on one side of it, it's a little bit skewed. Oh well. Ta-da. I love doing these swirlies. Now, if you wanted to, we could start to add maybe 1 color or 2 colors. I think when I did this one, I added 2 colors first. So purple and blue were the colors that I added. And then all of the other colors like this this yellow and this green, those came later. So without further ado, let me go back here. Got my purple. Got my blue. I'm gonna get a slightly darker blue for myself. Yeah, I'm using this kind of blue, in case anyone's wondering. Now let me pour this out real quick. Now, I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm just going to kind of wipe it off to the side. Sometimes I feel like rinsing our brushes just kind of takes a little bit too long. So I don't do it, at least not in these kinds of paintings. So, because I'd rather just go. Now, for those of you all that are using only square brushes, I'd like to show you how you can make curly cues using the square brushes. I'm going to be using, instead of the flat side, I'll be using the thinner side, like that. So use that thinner side. I'm going to get my color, and using that thin side, and really also just using the corner. So it's really hard to see from where you guys are, but I'm using the corner there. And curl down using that corner. You don't have to be precise with it, not at all. And you can always go over some areas too. Like, you don't have to complete it all in one brush stroke. You can pick up your brush, and if it's easier to use the corner using a different method, then you go for it. Like that. So just so you can see it a little closer, like so. Now I spaced out my blue brush strokes pretty evenly. That choice is up to you, the viewer. So if you would like to have them a little bit more uneven, maybe have more blue on one side and maybe more purple on another side, that's a little idea, a choice that you can make if you want to. Let's add some purple, more colors. Gotta pour it out. What are your thoughts so far, Carol?
Oh, this is super fun.
Yay! Exciting. That's awesome.
You like, and I don't know the right word. It's fun.
Good. Yeah, these types of things are my favorite things to do. So I did, or maybe while I'm talking about, or while I'm putting that purple in there, I want to talk to you guys, the viewers, about how you can join me next time and do what Carol's doing and either paint along with me or draw along with me, color, whatever you have. I can use any tools that you have at your disposal. So even if you just have a paper and pen, or even if you just have like the paper bags, like paper bags from the grocery store, I can use those. So we can make up a project together if you want to. So let me know. You can email richard@heartsneedart.org, or you can just comment here if you want to join. Really, anytime I do these live streams, you can join me. So yeah, I'm super excited about this new project we have. So let me add this, my purple. And for anyone wondering, I am still using my my square brush, just because it's in my hand and I can. Yeah, we did another one with Stanzi last week, and that was a lot of fun too. We did some sunflowers. She got to paint along with me. I always find it a lot more fun when I have somebody with me. Trying to look at yours, Carol. Nice. Are you using a round brush?
It's just it's a little small pointy one.
Yeah. Nice.
But it's kind of mashed at the end because I've used it a lot, but
That's all right. No, it works for you.
I wish I would have known you were painting sunflowers last week. The sunflowers are my favorite.
Oh, are they? Oh, man. Well, maybe we can paint together sometime anyway. Let's see what.
I would love it.
Yeah, seriously, that would be a lot of fun. This is how you get together and do fun things socially, but also distance yourself too.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot more fun with another person.
I know, it really is. Last Easter, well, maybe I'll get you started first, and then I'll show you I'll tell you what we did on Easter this past Sunday. So next thing, this top part here, we kind of want it to dry, right? At least a little bit. We don't need it to dry too much, but at least some. So the flowers that I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to sort of make them away from here first, and then we'll add the overlapping flowers. I think there's only like 1 or 2 overlapping flowers afterwards, like that. And then I kind of skewed it a little bit myself by adding an extra flower up here. I'm going to leave that up to you, the viewer, anyone tuning in. If you want to make it just even and only add flowers along this line, you certainly can. But if you are like me and you like to skew it a little bit, you can certainly do that as well. So just something to think about before we begin. I'm going to jump into a different brush this time. I'm going to be using my flat brush. I happen to have 2 flat brushes with me, like one's bigger, one's smaller. I'm going to be using the slightly bigger one. It's not that much bigger. There. So I'm going to be using the slightly bigger one of the 2. And my flowers, I'm going to start off really simply for them. Notice how they're round, right? I have round flowers. I'm going to start off with some purple. I'm going to make a ring of purple. Then I'm going to fill in that ring with blue. And then with that blue, I'm going to start to make these kinds of brush strokes on the outside. So I'm going to take some white paint, and I am going to set some white paint aside and mix it a little bit with my purple, because remember, we're using that purple first for the ring. Mix it up to make kind of like a lavender color. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the mixing part, only because it's not really going to matter all that much. So I got my lavender, and I'm going to stand up so I can see what I'm doing. Oops. I can start by making my ring on the side here. Using that flat edge to really widen up that ring. Now let's make all of our rings. I can make the one in the middle. And you'll notice here on the bottom, I accidentally went over some of our streamers down here, just on accident, and it dragged some of the blue in there. Just something to think about. You can always go over it. Something to think about. As I'm making those rings, just sort of think about which flowers you want to overlap. So say, for example, maybe I want this big flower right here in the middle. Maybe I want that one to really stand out above the rest. That means that later on, whenever I actually fill in each of my flowers, I'm going to save this big one for last. This one's going to be my very last one. Whoops. I went over the streamers. Oh well. And then let's see, I want to add a smaller ring up here because I can, and I like to make it, I personally like to skew it a little bit, but you don't have to if you don't want to, if you're doing it at home. And then I'm just going to wait a moment before I do this other one down here. Notice how I had this flower. It's a smaller one, and it sort of stands above everything else. It's a really small one, but it also overlaps our streamers here. So I could wait, but since I already know what it looks like whenever you overlap it, I can just go for it. But for you at home, it's up to you on whether or not you want to wait for it or not. Cool. Looking good, Carol. I see it. And I like that you added the extra one at the top too.
Yeah, I kind of want to add another one over here, but
You can if you want to.
I can.
You're painting.
I'm such a rebel.
Go for it. Yay. Now, I'm just kind of closing that a little bit. I am going to wipe my brush off again. Again, not going to rinse it, just wipe it. I want to make a light blue now. So that's what I'm doing, making a light blue. And I will be filling in the rings here very messily, very loosely. See that? I even like overlapped my purple ring a little bit here. Totally fine, because we're about to get even more messy with it. This is one of the techniques that I like to call my squishy brush technique or squishy paint technique. It's one of my favorite things to do. I find it really relaxing. I find it relaxing when you don't really need to think about your brush strokes real quick and you just go for it and go really quickly.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Okay. So I've filled in the rings. Cool, so have you. I see that now. I'm standing like on the side here, so I'm having to look back and forth. So I'm not rinsing my brush. I am going to go back and forth between making these kinds of swipes. Notice how I'm using the flat end of the brush to make those swipes. Small swipes, lots of paint on the end of my brush. I'm overlapping both the ring and the outside. Sort of breaking rules here, you guys. See that? Oops, sorry about that. Now I am, once again, starting on top of the flowers that I want to be pushed to the background. Because remember, this flower right here, this one's supposed to be the one that stands above the rest. So I'm going to work on everything else around it. Now that's just with my light blue. I'm going to mix it up for you. Hope that's okay. Dirty brush. I have lots of that light blue on top of it. Now I'm going to dive right into my regular blue with nothing added to it. See how that looks with the double colors on top? That's that squishy brush technique. That's what you get when you do these swipes. Swipe, swipe, swipe. I'm swiping on top of those previous brush strokes. Like that. I'm not covering up my purple ring though. I still want to see that. And I still want space in between some of these brush strokes. But I am overlapping some of them. Now let's go ahead and do that for the rest of our flowers. Gonna go out here. Going back and forth this time, mixing it up between my light paint and my regular blue. Mixing it up, just swiping those brush strokes. Carol, do you have any questions? It looks like you're doing good.
Okay, you're just putting like dots, swipes everywhere. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. I just need to put mine closer together, looks like.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Don't be afraid to overlap them.
Okay, and you have several rows, looks like also, right?
Yeah, I wanted to spread them out between between overlapping the purple ring and
Okay.
overlapping the background.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you wanted to, you could keep it in several rows.
Okay.
However best you can organize it or like understand it, if that makes more sense.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. Now I need to make some more light blue, so I'm going to do that. It's always good to have a good amount of that one. And for anybody else who is tuning in with us and following along, my next color is going to be the pink paint. So the same pink paint that I used before on the background, and black paint as well. Pink and black. And then later I will add some orange and some yellow and a little bit of green. And that looks like it. Oh no, there's purple here. Oh no, we have purple. Yeah, we're good. So pink and black, orange and yellow. I am just gonna keep on keeping on. Overlap anything else as needed. So here, that flower's in the way, I overlapped it. Over here, once you're ready to start putting those, is it these like brush strokes, these petals around your main flower. So for me, the main flower is this big one here. Don't be afraid to overlap anything else. Overlapping that. It's going to look really crowded out here, but that's okay. There's a lot of petals there. I still have to make some around this tiny flower here. Just swiping and going for it. There. Now, after that, you can rinse your brush if you want. You can. So I just want to let everyone else know as well, we have our upcoming Create for a Cause event. Not this Friday, but I believe next Friday. That one's going to be on April 24th. It's going to be our next Create for a Cause event. So the artwork for that will be coming up soon. I will let you guys know. And just a little reminder, we have our Adopt an Artist. So I know I talked about that in the beginning, but we do have some links. So you can support me. You can support any of our musicians in residence. You can support Judy as well. She is our writer. She actually just gave a talk yesterday about how to become a freelance writer and what they go through. I have not been able to listen to that yet, but I was really, really interested in that one. So that was a really cool one. That one she did, I think yesterday. I want to say she did that one yesterday. Yay, Carol. I see it now. I see the layering and I see the contrast between the dark petals and the lighter petals too.
Yeah, hopefully I have enough petals.
You know, the thing about this technique is that you can add more too. Like,
okay, good.
If you wanted to. Yeah, it's not like a step. It's not too step by step, if that makes sense. So let's rinse our brushes and dive straight into pink. Same exact concept, same idea, except we're using pink this time. Now, let me see. I think I used the lighter of the two. I want to stick with using the pink that I used for my background, just for the sake of uniformity. Now, do you see here where the blue meets the purple? Right there, that line. Most of my pink is going to stay kind of in that area. But again, some of our brush strokes are going to be separated a little bit, going to have space. Some of them are going to be overlapping. I do still want to be able to see that purple ring underneath it. Although this time it's very, very much buried. I do still want to see it. I am able to overlap some of my petals. I can do that. I can make that choice to overlap some of the petals. I can, or actually what I do want to do is make lots of them in the blue area, in that blue center, but I still want that blue to show up. I don't want too much there. It might make a little more sense if I do a few more. I'm going right on top of that border between the blue and the purple ring. In a moment, whenever we jump into our black paint is going to be covering up that entire center area. I can still see in between a lot of my brush strokes, but some of them are pretty crowded. Well, most of them are still pretty crowded though, if that makes sense. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to pour my black paint out so you can see it, or so we can get started on that. Cool. I can't wait to see what that black paint looks like. Like whenever you do put them in the middle.
Oh yeah, that'll.
My inspiration was poppies, actually. And just because they're darker in the center,
Yes.
that was the only inspiration for that. But they're so pretty though. I love them.
They are. Poppies.
Poppies. Yeah, in the well, let me get started on this and then I'll tell you a story about the BMT clinic.
Are we using a new brush for the black?
It's up to you. Like if you happen to have that small brush, if you wanted to use it, you definitely can. All we're gonna do is fill in the center. It's not really gonna matter too much.
Okay.
The small one I was thinking we could use for later for our smaller streams in our different colors. And for out here, some smaller petals that are just sort of popping out. So that was kind of my idea for the small ones. I didn't rinse my brush that I was using for the pink. Dive straight into that black paint. And the reason I didn't rinse this brush is because I want some of that pink paint to show through. So I can tap, tap, tap. My brush strokes this time, because they're in the middle, they're not, let me show you up close. Because they're in the middle, they're not really going to go around in a circle like everything else did. These went around in a circle, but these are in the center. So it's not really going to work so much that way. I'm going to do some smaller swipes. Small swipes. And if your pink paint is not showing through, you can always go back to your pink paint and double dip, triple dip, whatever we're doing. Oops. This happens every class. I always drop something. It really is every class. Or I'm flipping something. Or I'm flipping something out of my hand. So I can always go back to my pink paint and add some paint on top of that so that we get that layered look. So that's a choice that you can make. It's up to you. In case that black paint is a little strong, you can always add that pink paint on top of it. Like that. Now these brush strokes, they're not quite circular, but that's what we're going for. We don't want them to be completely circular or round. We want that choppy look. So that looks pretty choppy to me. So let me show you up close. Ta-da. That's what that looks like. And when we're all finished, I would love to see yours up close, Carol.
Okay.
I really would. So our next steps. Oh yeah, you're gonna show me now?
I'll show you now.
Yeah, go for it. Oh, that's so pretty, Carol.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. I especially love the outside petals. What you did out here, like the way you spread them out here in the background. I really love that part, especially that one that's a little bit more skewed. I love that one.
Caught in the wind.
It's caught in the wind. Oh yeah. Yeah. Cute. I love it. Well, we're on the part of the painting where we get to add more color to it. So there's a lot more, like here, a lot more of what seems like random brush strokes, but not really. This flower here, I started off with this flower, so that's what I'm going to start off with now. Simply because the blue paint and the rest of the other paints, they're more dry by this point. So I can start with those, whichever one's more dry. All I did was rinse my brush in between colors, added just a few of these yellow swipes, and then a few of these orange swipes. And then I went into green, and then I think I added just a few more blue ones up here. So green, so yellow, orange, and green. Now, for anyone painting along, you can use any colors you want. Like this is party, fiesta time. Like you throw out what colors you want. If you happen to have glitter at home or glitter paint at home, yes, throw this into this painting, okay? And I would love to see anybody who actually does put glitter in it. Like I would love to see that. What else? Metallic paints would be really good. Like the what is it? The pearlescent paints would be really good for this one too.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into it. For this part, I am going to use that smaller brush that I mentioned, that smaller square brush. And let's see, I'm going to use my brighter of my two yellows. We don't need a lot. We don't need a lot of any of these colors. I already have orange out. Get my green, and I think that's all I need. I'm just looking to do some swipes. Now got my yellow. You can actually put these colors anywhere you want, as long as those petals are dry or mostly dry. That's the bigger issue. So just a few on the outside. Swipe, swipe, and go. Swipe and go. And since I'm using yellow first, there's actually a reason I'm using yellow first, is because I don't have to rinse my brush. I can just go straight into the orange paint and it'll mix just fine. Straight into orange. These are pretty dry up here, so that's going to be my orange section. Ooh, something I forgot to mention. Maybe I can do this right now. If you wanted to add some yellow, like random little brush strokes out here, like these, like little confetti, you can do that. Little pieces of confetti in yellow while you still have it on your brush. Let's see. I could add more orange somewhere. I could add more yellow somewhere. I think I'll just pick a flower for that yellow and go for it. Add some out here. And then green paint. I have green paint. Another idea is that you could do purple paint using the same technique. You can do purple, but I'm going to stick to green. Dun, dun, dun. Just a few on the outside. And then anytime you are ready, I can show you how to do the rest of the streamers in different colors down here. So whenever you're ready. Surprised I didn't drink all of my coffee. It's still there. Yes. So don't forget as well, if you want to be Carol be in Carol's place, you certainly can. Next week or next time I do these things, I am going live about 3 times a week. And any of those times per week, you can actually join me on any project. Just email or comment on here, email richard@heartsneedart.org if you'd like to do that. You can be right there, right next to me. And we can do a project together using any materials you have. I don't want you to be worried about going out there and getting the supplies that I have. I will work with you and we can make a project together. If you have an idea, we can do that idea together. I can help you out with something. We just want to make something. As long as we can do it in an hour, we're good. So if you want to join me, please do. Yay, Carol.
Did you put like some swirlies up here too? Or
oh yeah, I did some little confetti up here. Basically the same brush strokes.
okay.
Is that a little bit better?
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically the same brush strokes, but floating up there.
Okay.
Now for the leftover streamers at the bottom, use whatever brush you used previously for the other streamers. These ones, I'm gonna make them much more loosely. So quickly is what I mean when I say loosely. Quickly, and I'm not really gonna pay too much attention to them because they're supposed to be really, really quick. Let's see, I used the round brush for that. So I'm gonna go to that. So my pointy brush is what I'm using. I will start with yellow. Whoops, no, got some green. They're gonna be green yellow now then. So press down lightly and I can overlap. I overlapped the blue ones there. I overlapped these. And I'm doing that because they're dry and I know that they're dry. Keep that in mind as well. If I wanted to, I can add some up here, like that one kind of curls up into the flowers right there. That's an option. I probably should have rinsed my brush before I did that green, but oh well. Very last step is to sign your painting. That's what I always tell people. Sign it with your paintbrush or with a Sharpie marker if you happen to have a Sharpie marker. And that's it. What was our name for this project again? Was it like something Fiesta?
Flower Frenzy.
That's right, Fiesta Flower Frenzy. That's our project, Fiesta Flower Frenzy. Yay.
This is so cool, Hannah.
Yay! Thank you, Carol. I'm so happy that you're able to join me today.
So fun.
Yes, I'm so happy. And it had been forever since I'd seen you too.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yay! Can I see it up close?
Yeah. Ah, I dropped my thing too.
Yeah, I'm always flipping things. Cute. Oh, Carol, that's so good.
Thanks.
Yay! I love it.
I can add some more white up on top or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like was it white confetti maybe?
Maybe, yeah. I have some metallic too I could throw in here.
If you throw metallic in there, can you like show me a picture? Because I'd love to see it. And I think that the green at the bottom, those green streamers, you added a lot of them, and I think that it contrasts really well with your colors. So I like that.
Makes
Yay,
it stand out a little bit more. Well, thank you. You're a great teacher.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Carol, you're amazing. Again, we are Hearts Need Art. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us. I think I've said it like 5 million times already, but if you'd like to support me monthly, or if you'd like to support any of our other artists, please feel free to click that link, heartsneedart.org/team, and learn how you can support us there. You can even get a little monthly snippet of my thoughts and how things went throughout the month. So thank you guys for joining us. You guys are amazing. Bye. Thank you.